Welcome back. You're here with Goldbergometer as opposed to galvanometer. You didn't see that coming, did you? One of my assistants will have to figure out what's wrong with your personal plumbing because it stopped functioning. I might actually put a link in the description, Amazon affiliate, so you can buy some Eugenics, because Frank Thomas says it works. And Frank is right. Well, why are we discussing reasons to not go to trade school? This is more an amalgamation of what you need to know if you're considering attending, because there's a lot of bad information out there. My problem with these guys who will go on the internet.com and say, why don't you just go to and study STEM, brah? Why don't you go to trade school, man? And you say, but have you done that yourself? Can you speak to it? Or are you just, ranting because it sounds good? I've met guys who have electrical engineering degrees and said they wish they'd gone to trade school. I know some people who have engineering degrees and aren't even making that much money, despite what you've heard. I've met people who've worked in trades for years and hate every minute of it and say, I don't want this for my kids. So perspective matters. Some people will love it and excel in the trade world. Others will say, no, I want to get out of here as soon as possible. And of course, we live in a world where Gen X era and afterwards, the public school teachers and of course the moms have told their children that anything that you want to be is perfect, is a great idea, and you're a genius for thinking it up. So naturally, if you kind of, give some constructive criticism, they take it as a personal attack, even if they have not even gone into that career field yet. And it's like, dude, it's nothing against you. I just think people should be armed with the facts instead of going after something because a meme told you to. And that's what we'll be doing in this video. So my background, lest you think that I don't have any, I was an operator at a medium-sized plant, and then I was also a tradesman. I was a shipboard electrician for a while. People ask, well, why did you leave? So initially when I looked at trades, I wanted to be like a regular residential commercial plumber, but I didn't have a school that was in, striking distance exactly. So I applied to this one, and they didn't offer the plumbing trade. You could install piping systems and do maintenance on them, but it was a very different set of, devices and parts. So I said, okay, I'll do electrical work. And it was partially my fault, partially theirs for not really advertising it more clearly. But their electrician was not. There were two types of electricians. The one that I wanted was termed something different. And once you got into the ship electrician program, they wouldn't let you transfer until you'd finished it for the 4 years, which is kind of like, that's BS to me. Because what some of these companies will do is they'll set it up such that you can't leave and just go out and start your own company. Your certifications or your training are not the same. So with a marine electrician, you're not dealing with a NECA on the same level as with a traditional residential. You can still, apply your stuff, but you need to gain experience in addition to that. So it's kind of like, okay, I spent all this time, but now I need to get more experience because it's not even directly applicable besides the theoretical courses. And that's the thing they would do even with welders. So if you're a welder and you have the proper industry certification, you can make really good money. What they would do is they would give you an in-house certification to prevent you from leaving the company. So, good firm overall. They paid you well, good benefits, a good program. I'm not going to slight them in any way. I'm just saying you have to know because you may not like the work that you end up doing, even if you're good at it. And I was good at it, but I just was not what I wanted to be doing. And then I also had an opportunity to make more money in a different sector, which would lead me into IT. And you can make quite a great deal there. Although, of course, the downside is IT is not as mobile. So if you're a freelance programmer, graphic designer, sure. But if you have to do systems administration or security policy, they're going to probably want you in the facility or close by, which is why even though I've considered potentially going back to electrical school next year, I would lose out on a lot of money. I'd take a pay cut. Although down the road, sure, if you have to leave the country, you've got more options to work almost any place. So it is a trade-off of sorts. Nonetheless, I want to discuss with you, first of all, the fact that not all trade schools are equal. Do not apply for an apprenticeship on Indeed.com. Also, be careful with these community college like skills force programs they created to monetize the recession. And they'll basically, I looked into it for plumbing, and this is how it works. Oh, well, you pay for your classes here, and then you go and find an apprenticeship for yourself. No, you don't want to go to a company that's not going to track your hours or actually, do the proper paperwork such that you can take the state licensing test. Because what happens if you fail to do the due diligence, you'll be stuck as essentially a helper. And this is one of the things they don't talk about. They'll say, oh, you can't outsource this job. True to a certain degree. But what industries do, they did this with doctors when they started with the nurse practitioners and the PAs, with lawyers, the paralegals. What they're doing is, if they can't get around the legal requirements, they'll try to pay people less in these sort of support roles. And this is really dangerous. They might not be able to get around licensing because it takes a certain amount of time, but what they can do is hire a bunch of Abel Baker Charlies from south of the border and make them helpers, and that will essentially allow them to do the same work for much less money. You got to be careful with this, because you don't want to be the person who gets stuck as a helper because the company is not going to put you through for the actual licensing. So licenses matter. Do not pay attention to people who say, well, yeah, you can be my apprentice and help me out. It's not a progressive program. It's not going to lead to an actual journeyman. If you don't have that, it's much harder to run your own company or get good paying jobs. So just my piece of advice, be careful when it comes to where you go to school. Now, if it's a regular community college, like one of those institutes of technology, it might be good. But again, do investigation. One place you can go is the military. Army or Air Force are usually the best bets. I think you also have the Seabees and the Navy. The problem with anything besides Army, you can't really get a guaranteed job. So that's a risk you take. But the Air Force is the best if you can get it, because they will pretty much guarantee you, they'll give you the proper education you can apply to a license down the road. The Marine Corps tends to be the worst branch if you want to be able to transition to the civilian world. They have less money and they like to, ride high on the whole Marine Corps. Good for you, no disrespect, but it's not as valuable down the road. You can look at local governments. Sometimes they have apprenticeships. Those can be okay, but again, verify, ask them, are you going to lead to an actual licensed position? You can look at these union schools, like International Brotherhood of Electricians, plumbers. Sometimes it'll call like local so-and-so number. You will deal with a union attitude though, okay? I wasn't union, but I worked with a lot of union people. And the one chick, she was trying to get me to join. I was like, she could fit in right in like straight out of Compton or, Boys in the Hood, just the way that she presented herself. I'm like, you're the person representing the union? It was kind of cringy. But you will deal with union attitudes, but the training is pretty good at those schools. You can also look at the shipyards. I think there's one in San Diego, Mississippi, Virginia, and there might be one up in Connecticut as well. They will, at least the programs I'm aware of, they'll pay you to be in class, they'll pay you to work, you'll be treated like a regular employee with benefits, and when you graduate you can work for them or go someplace else. That's a key point. Don't go to a school where they're trying to make you pay for classes or tools. A company that's serious is going to invest in you because they want to see it pay off when you work for them. If they're trying to just essentially profit off of it, they're going to make you pay for everything. Or at least it should be, okay, once you finish the program, we reimburse what you paid, something like that. But yeah, if they're trying to just, charge you for everything, it probably means they're not serious about the training. Now, that being said, what is working in a trade like? It's going to depend on like what you're doing, because there's a lot of different trades, HVAC, electrical controls, electrician, plumber, carpenter, lots of different things. My experience though, just to give you a sense, you'd be in the bottom of a ship crawling around in scaffolding, nails sticking up, paint dust, metal dust, dirt. You got like constantly hazard. I mean, I remember getting hit in the face because this dumbass, we were feeding a cable and he just drops this thing on my face. It was luckily the helmet caught it because I probably would have gotten like a concussion, because these cables, like industrial stuff, they're huge. They're not like a little coax that you get with your Comcast or whatever. It's physically demanding. It is mentally trying. It can even be emotionally demanding depending on who you're working with, if they're easygoing, if they're kind of old school trade people. So be prepared for that. Understand what you're getting yourself into. That's going to vary. Sometimes you come across people who are very laid back, but again, it can make a difference. And you are going to be responsible for your work. A lot of people go into office jobs and you don't really have to do anything and you can still get by because there's no real consequence or accountability. On a trade, you do it wrong, it could be someone's life on the line, right? And it's tedious, menial work. I mean, imagine tracing cable lines or even running cables, and you got this mass of previously installed cables. You have to not just put it through correctly, but you have to make sure that it's not stressed, it's not breaking the cable. You have to be doing like the actual metallic welding to put pieces to connect them and whatnot. It's a lot of stuff. It's very involving. And if you get into like welding, it's even more intense and hardcore. So it's not a job that everyone's going to want to do. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I was good at it. But it was just not the specific career direction because of the trade specialty that I wanted to go into. So I would consider going back, but it's going to really come down to a question of money, because right now I do have a house, so I've got to pay for that. I'm not anti-trade school. I would just say know what you're getting yourself into. Don't just go by what an internet guru says. You might really love it or you might actually hate it. And that's why you have to have a good sense before you commit, so you don't end up spending time, or depending on the school, spending money and then being like, well, this was not what I want to do. Okay, because once you're in it and you've done it for a few years, you might feel like you're sort of stuck. Of course you're not, but again, just understand what you want to do and look on YouTube, talk to people, get a sense of what their day-to-day routine is like, and then from there decide if this is really something you want to pursue.